Arcane Strike. You can channel arcane energy into your melee attacks. That's a pretty good feat. Arcane Strike. It's actually very good. But one of the things that has kind of gotten me a reputation in the Dungeons and Dragons groups that I play in, or the main one I play in and the one I run at school, is that I don't like multi-classing, and I don't like alternate class features. And I have a beef with both of them, sort of. But multi-classing less so. Mostly prestiging. I like prestiging, but I don't like gishing. Like, I don't need to be a sorcerer fighter because I could just be like a Duskblade or War Mage. But alternate class features. I'm not a fan of alternate class features. I never really have been. Because the way it feels to me, and this is, people will, like, one of my friends will see this and sort of call me out on this, but, it feels like Wizards of the Coast apologizing for making a poor class. I can understand that. I really can, especially in the case of the Divine Mind, the poor Divine Mind, poor Divine Mind. The Divine Mind is supposed to be a psychic paladin, except they're not good at doing that. They can't smite. They can't smite. They got stripped of their base attack bonus. They now have the base attack bonus of a cleric. And they just gave them more psychic powers, which is good, chosen from a very select list that they're locked into, and they only have access to about like 6 to 12 of them, which isn't that good. They can be good. The ability to manifest psychic powers is very good, but it's not worth just taking my bab and just ripping it not in half, but ripping a quarter of it off. But that's besides the point. Alternate class features feel like Wizards is apologizing for making a bad class. You know what? In those cases, I'm normally okay with like the Divine Mind, the I can't think of any other really. The Hexblade, not Dark Companion. That's pretty alright. That's actually really good. The Dark Companion is really good. It doesn't need to be that good, but it is. But the things that bother me are those crazy alternate class features that everybody talks about, and the most common one I see is the Cloistered Cleric. Don't ever bring me a Cloistered Cleric. I will say no. But what if I want it? No. But no. I've had people try and do it, and I always tell them the exact same thing. You want to play a Divine Librarian? Play an Archivist. That class is more broken than the Cloistered Cleric. But I want to be a... No! The Cloistered Cleric is a variant of the Cleric class, which the Cleric is sort of not locked into being a healer, but they're very good at healing, because they are. But there's, like, Clerics are half warrior, half mostly divine casting. They get a buttload of divine spells, but honestly, the divine casters normally can fight okay. They can hold their own. That's why I always like to say, fighters will fight things, and the cleric can hold his own for like a round or two, or her own, or their own, or its own. You get the picture. The Cloistered Cleric is a variant on that, where cleric loses their ability to fight as well. And clerics get offered domains from their deity, which are like a select group of spells that they can add to their spell list, and a granted power. The Cloistered Cleric allows you to make your own domain in addition to 2 that you get. No. But no! No. I had that... No. I don't No. I'm not. I don't let people play cloister clerics in my games. Never have, never will. Because it's unnecessary, and it honestly, like, it just makes me mad. Because the cleric is already one of the most powerful classes in the game. You don't need to do that. So I always just tell them to play an alchemist, and normally they're like, okay, I understand, but if they get mad at me, I'm like, yeah, sorry. Other ones that sort of make me annoyed are the battle sorcerer. The battle sorcerer is just, it makes me mad because it just feels unnecessary. The battle sorcerer, the sorcerer is an innate spellcasting class that gets a buttload of spells per day. They can cast a buttload of spells per day, but they only know a few different assortment of spells. Fair enough. Battle sorcerer sort of like takes one away from their spells per day of each level, and one away from spells known of each level, and makes them as good at fighting as a cleric. Well, they don't get heavy or medium armor or shields, but they get light armor and a martial weapon. D8 hit die and cleric based attack bonus. There's no reason you need to do that. There is no reason a sorcerer needs to be that good at fighting. If I want to play a sorcerer, I want to play a dude who's harnessing chaos magic from inside of his heart. I don't want to play a dude who's just like fireball, sword, fireball, sword, fireball, sword. One, that's not an effective way. That's not an effective way. That's not an optimal way of fighting. Shut up, min-maxers. I know. I know. I know. I know. And two, that's the Dustblades thing. Like that's mainly why I don't like it. It's another class's thing. Let them have it. You don't need to do that. Just let the other class have it. And then of course there's the ultimate alternate class feature that just takes party balance, like it takes the game and just rips it up and burns it. And that's the spell the power Erudite. The Erudite is the only psionic class that has pretty much unlimited access to any different psychic powers they want. They can only manifest a select list each day. Fair enough. They get a decent amount of power points, same as an all psion. Decent. They can't specialize. Okay, whatever. Spell the power. In addition to manifesting all those versatile powers, you can now cast spells as a wizard. It's not exactly like that. They have to shift some power points around, but they can do that. Why? Why is that? Why? 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 Just why? That's not there. There's no reason to do that, and it bothers me. I had somebody try and bring me an Erudite. I did. I spelled the power Erudite, and the party consisted of a dragon shaman, a warlock, and a scout. Other than that, guess what I said? No. No. You may no. Just it makes me annoyed when some of the most powerful classes in the game get alternate class features, and alternate class features are intended to power up the class. They don't advertise it that way, but that's the point. That's what they do. That's what the point of alternate class features is. And it bothers me when the most powerful classes in the game get access to alternate class features that just rip up game balance and set it on fire and stomp on it with a hammer. It makes me annoyed. So, I'm actually getting slightly annoyed here. This is not a thing that needs to happen. So, what are alternate class features that are good? There are some that I actually like. For example, there's the Dragon Shaman class, which I love it because dragons, but I also don't like it because it has nothing to do, it has very little to do with dragons, rather. You can spin tails on how each of your abilities make sense for a dragon, but you have to be a skilled storyteller to do that. Luckily, I'm fairly gifted at that, so I can do it, but other people, it's hard, and that bothers me. That the Dragon Shaman is a class that, from Player's Handbook 2, that is described as being aspiring to be like a dragon. Sounds cool. They are just so all over the place with their abilities. They get these auras, which actual dragons have an aura of frightful presence. That's it. Guess what you don't get? Frightful presence. You can take a feat to get it. You can, but you don't get it as a class build, which you should if you're playing a Dragon Shaman, because you're a Dragon Shaman. But they get these auras, which are like buffs. They're buffs. That's the point of the auras. They're buffs. And the way I normally spin it is that dragons are such a presence in this world that merely aspiring to be like a presence, like having the presence of a dragon, allows you to project your presence elsewhere and help people or hurt people, whatever. Which makes sense for their energy shield aura, which deals damage to enemies trying to melee one of your allies. They take a bit of damage in tune with the type of dragon you worship, which is kind of cool. I like that aura. That's actually one of my favorite auras, even though it's not optimal. And then there's a healing aura. But it's good for at-will healing. It's really good. And most of my Dragon Shamans take it, but why? Why? I don't know. Their other R's are bonuses on melee damage, I think, which I get it. Okay, they get a damage reduction against anything that's not a magic weapon. I get it, but the healing aura, why? And then they get their breath weapon at level 4. Okay, and a healing ability at level 6. One of the books later described them as more elemental warriors. Also not true. But that's not where I'm going with this. One of the only alternate class feature I believe for the Dragon Shaman is called Shamanic Invocation, if I'm pronouncing that right. I know how to pronounce invocation because I've played Warlocks. But there are two invoking classes, the Warlock and the Dragonfire Adept, and they can use at-will arcane spell-like abilities at will. The Dragon Shaman can swap out an aura, one of their auras, for a Dragonfire Adept invocation. The Dragonfire, oh my god. The Dragon Shaman handbook says that it states, this is not an alternate class feature. This is a class feature. I understand, I understand the need to do that. I understand the flavor for that. That makes sense. I normally don't have a problem with people doing that. But there's just something about it that I just would, me as player, I can't do it. I have to take the vanilla class. I mean, I don't have to. I've taken alternate class features in the past, which is probably why I'm turned off to it, because I played a immediate magic venerable dragon rot kobold, some focused conjurer. That was a mistake, and I'm sorry to the DM. I'm really sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Especially because he talks like this. I'm so sorry. But the alternate class features for some of the lower powered classes, I get. For the higher powered classes, it's not necessary. There's one, the Unearthed Arcana. one of the core books. It's considered SRD. It's not core, but it's considered SRD. On Earth Arcana. I'm not a fan of this book. Not a fan of this book. But it has the most alternate class features aside from from Player's Handbook 2, if I'm correct in the numbers. I think it's like 13 to 16. Who cares? But Unearthed Arcana, some of the alternate class features make a lot of sense. Some of them don't. For example, there's a ranger that can trade out his or her or their or its combat style, the 2-weapon fighting, or the what's the bow? Archery. Combat feats for the ability to wild shape into animals. I get it. That's a boost for power for a class that doesn't necessarily need a boost to power, but could use it in some higher powered groups. I understand. And then they gave the druid, they stripped the druid's ability to wild shape, gave them the monk's wisdom to AC, and I don't understand that. I don't understand what was happening there. I think it's called the Druidic Avenger. No, that's a druid who can rage. Also, why? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. Like those two druid variants, just they keep me up at night. Literally, it's 3 in the morning, and I can't sleep because I keep thinking about those two druid alternate class features. But I get it. I get why they do it. They want to add some flavor. They want to add some power. Some classes don't need the power. And the last most infamous alternate class feature is the Totem Barbarian. The Totem Barbarian appears in about 3 different books, and each different book has a different totem. Okay. The Totem Barbarian devotes themselves to aspiring to emulate the warrior prowess of certain animals in the wild. They give up their fast movement and trap sense for this. They don't give up their signature ability, which is honestly, that's one of the reasons I don't like alternate class features, is because classes give up their signature ability. But they give them up in exchange for these other abilities. The most infamous one is the Lion Totem, which gives you Pounce, which lets you make a full attack action at the end of a charge. Combine that with Shock Trooper, and you're golden, right? No. Please don't do that to me. I don't want this to happen. This doesn't need to happen. Barbarians are good enough as it is. This doesn't need to happen. But people do it anyway. I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand why the power levels of these alternate class features just go from here's the regular class and here's the alternate class feature. It literally keeps me up at night. I can't. It's so annoying that these exist and that people use them and claim that they're the best options out there. When ultimately, yes, playing a barbarian with Pounce is optimal. I'm not gonna say you're wrong. I just want my barbarian to do barbarian things. To rage, to berserk. That's what I want a barbarian to do. So when an alternate class feature gives up the class's signature ability, such as the druid giving up his or her or their or its wild shape, no. No. Druid's wild shape. People say druids spellcast. Druids are very good spellcasters. Druid's wild shape though. A druid wild shapes. But a druid can spellcast, but a druid wild shapes. A barbarian rages. A fighter doesn't need sneak attack. A fighter needs bonus feats. Granted, a fighter doesn't need that many bonus feats, but you know what? A fighter, you want to be a fighter? Be a fighter 20. Want to be a human fighter 20? You got about 18 feet you're looking at. 19, I believe. 11 from fighter. 2 at level 1, so 13. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. 19 feet. Fighter doesn't need sneak attack. Fighter needs fighter bonus feats. There's a fighter variant called the Zenitharim fighter, I believe. Which is a very cool fighter variant, in which they get very good at invoking fear in enemies. It's cool, and there's also another variant called Dungeon Crasher, where they run around and just throw people into things. Again, very cool. The former is the main shtick of the Complete Warrior Samurai. And people are going to say how much the Complete Warrior Samurai sucked. I know. I played one. I played a Complete Warrior Samurai with no alternate class features. I feel the feels. Did I do it the correct way? I guess. I took the feat. If that's what you're talking about. Took Imperious Command. People were scared of me. But most we fought were zombies, so there was no point. Whatever, I tanked. I don't. This sort of just devolving into me just attacking and praising certain alternate class features, which, you know what? I love D&D, I love talking about D&D, and I can't sleep, so I don't know what you want from me.